Hello everybody, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons The Second Age. How are we all doing?
Hello.
Pretty good.
Excellent. So, before we jump into game, who would like to do me the honours of telling me exactly what happened last time?
We were on a boat.
Motherfuckers.
Yep, motherfucker.
Great start.
We started on the boat, right? And okay, fuck. I don't remember what happened last. Oh no, yes, we finished killing that one guy. We went back to the boat, and then we were just like, "Hello, sir. We know there's gunpowder on your boat." And he was like, "Shit. Well, okay." And we carried on, and it was some shit that happened. We found a boat which was completely empty, and we were just like, "What could have possibly caused this?" Mostly me, because everybody else apparently was just like, "It's sirens. It's sirens." And then
Turns out,
it was sirens, because like a day or two later, we suddenly heard singing, and basically
everyone decided to take a dip.
everybody decided to just fucking jump off the boat,
Including Grim.
including Grim. And
Also, you skipped the turtles.
oh yeah, yes, shit. We ended up in the doldrums, which is a word that I now remember.
Yes.
Because I genuinely didn't know that word, even out of character IRL.
It's not a common word.
V was just sort of like, how are we gonna fix this? Because Rob didn't actually have any ideas on how to fix this. He was just sort of like, I'm just gonna leave it to the players and see what they came up with. And what we came up with was, we're gonna befriend some turtles and they're gonna push our boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they couldn't push the boat, so they pulled it instead.
Yeah, they pulled it instead, and then it's fucking Zira like sang to the turtles, and that worked better.
Yes.
So it's
Got me
genuinely
inspired.
been a fun time, and the captain was like, "What the fuck have I brought on board?"
Yeah. The captain came out of his cabin, went, I have ended up in Disney, and then went back into his cabin.
Yep.
He was a thorough Flynn Rider throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. God, Flynn Rider.
I guess there's
What
worse
a
places
bastard.
to end up.
So yes, you carry on.
Um,
I think Helena's died.
I think Helena's slowly dying.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You guys
Well-
suck. I literally said in chat, "I'm muted. Keep talking." Y'all are just like, "Well, I guess this is the perfect time to just shut up and not say anything."
Oh, sorry. Well, I can't see chat because it's muted because of the thing, but it's fine.
Fine. Well, I'll continue talking because you guys didn't do that. So the turtles basically helped us, which was real cool. And then the sirens happened,
Yes.
and everyone like went to the water. There were also some like weird water monsters that I kind of forget what they were, and some
Oh, yeah.
octopi,
Octopi.
which tried to take our stuff and were completely unsuccessful. And one guy like died at sea because of the sirens and the other things, and then Kelariis basically went, "Hold up, I'm gonna fix that."
Yeah.
And then we didn't talk to him again.
Nope.
Yep.
Well,
And then
you did. You just didn't do it on camera.
Yeah. Basically, arrived at the little dragonborn town, fishing town.
Yes.
And we were just like, "Okay, Kelariis, where do we go?" And Kelariis was just like, "I know a fish market." Like the only place I
And
know.
we walked straight into the only place in the entire town that actually had a proper event associated with it.
Yeah.
Yep,
We
because
didn't know.
there we met a cute little dragonborn kid who is Kelariis' younger brother, and very cute. And everyone except Kelariis was just kind of standing there like tourists. Don't
Yes.
speak the language and are very confused. And then basically, Kelariis' younger brother.
Helena summoned a giant
Oh yeah,
number of butterflies.
Yeah, there were many butterflies. And then basically, Kelariis' younger brother and some old dude who was unnamed.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah, he has a name now.
does
Yes. Well, he has a last name, Delmirev, which is what Kelariis would know him by.
Mr. Delmirev. there
Mr.
we go.
Delmirev.
Mr. Delmira.
We basically all went to Kelariis' house, and Kelariis basically knocked on the door, and her parents were there, and we had a big hug, and that's where we ended the session.
Yes, we
Yeah.
ended with a hug, so
Which is always a good way to end a session.
it is a good
Yeah.
way to end a session.
Can I just say
Better
I'm
than
still-
other
I'm
ways.
still not ready.
You've had a whole week to prepare for this.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm still not ready. But I
No,
It's
fair.
okay. You'll never be ready.
yeah,
no
pretty
one's
much.
no one's ever ready. No one's ever ready for family visits.
God, I forgot. The
Yep.
All this
Fucking
Legend of Zelda music.
open this bitch.
Yep. Yeah, all the VODs from last time got copyright claimed by Nintendo, but I'm kind of okay with that.
All of them. Rip.
So yeah. Kelariis. I guess you pull back from the embrace with your mother.
Yeah.
Your father's sort of like there, and he steps in for a hug as well. And your mother sort of like she's lost for words for just a moment before she starts talking to you in Draconic, and she says, "Chivi, child, are you well? We got your letter, and we've worried for you ever since. What's happened? You must tell us everything."
Oh, there's been a lot that's happened, but I'm glad the letter got to you. Or how are all of you doing?
We're good. Yes. It's I doubt our time has been anywhere near as sort of exciting as yours. And at this point, she sort of realizes that there's like a crowd of people behind you. And she at this point she switches to common. And for those of you who are hearing her talking common for the first time, her common is not very good. She stumbles over like her pronunciation. She probably has never had a formal education in the language. She's it's almost like sort of well, I guess she speaks like a foreign language speaker speaking a non-native language that they don't use very often. But she says,
It's like how I speak French.
yeah. But she says, and who are your friends? Did you meet them traveling the coast? Are they keeping you fed?
Oh, she's such a mom.
Mom, no. We met quite far away from the coast, actually. It's kind of a long story.
I see.
Perhaps a story that would rather be told sat down is that long.
Yeah, but I will introduce.
Can you
everybody.
understand it? Or no, she is.
Yeah,
She's speaking in common now.
Yeah, you as you sort of you introduce everyone, and your mother starts like sort of like trying to make enough space for everyone to sort of come in and sit down. It's a hopeless endeavor. There is not enough room. It is very small. Basically most of this main room is taken up by a large low table. That is clearly designed to seat like a family of 4 with like maybe 1 or 2 other people, and that takes up most of the room. So yeah, you all managed to sort of squeeze in. Yeah, and like yeah, I guess your mother sort of like starts like getting like little like wooden cups and just sort of like filling them with water. At which point, sort of your father catches you and speaks to you in Draconic, and he sort of says, "I'm so glad to see you, Shivi. The trade boats from the south were always telling tales of dragons coming home to roost, but I didn't think this was quite what they meant." And he laughs.
Well, I'm glad to be back home, even though I wasn't expecting to be here. Exactly.
He smiles and just sort of says, it is good that you're here. But yeah, you eventually all sort of manage to pile into this room, and the Kelariis' family are sort of like sat cuddled up on like one side of the table, like Kelariis' brother is sort of like sitting in her mother's lap because there's not quite enough space. But yeah, you guys managed to sort of pile into the room. And yeah, they sort of expectantly turn to you guys to sort of like hear your tales.
Oh boy, where do we even start?
Yeah. From the beginning.
I was gonna say a good place to start is at the beginning.
Yeah.
I should probably start at the wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just imagine I say that in character as well, just in case.
Thanks,
That
Grim.
invokes a response.
See if what provokes a response, sorry?
Well, I said, like, we should probably start at the wedding.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah, I presume we don't have to sit here and actually tell them.
No. Yeah. What? So yeah, I guess there's just a
much do we
summary
tell
of your.
them, though?
Yeah, like how long do you spend telling this tale?
And like like what I'm asking is like how much in detail do we go? Do you
Yeah.
tell people that you were on the lookout for legendary weapons from Tallithsyr? Like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't think you've actually told them.
Oh no, there is no way that I would have said anything like that
Yeah.
in a letter that had to
No.
pass through several layers of
Yeah.
Dragonborn like
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
Areas?
Yeah.
Just sort
You
of
know.
looking at Kelariis, let Kelariis tell the tale.
So we should
I
probably
mean,
like we don't have to tell the whole thing, but we should probably say like how much into detail we're going and like
I think Kelariis conveniently skirts any of the bits that like place any of us in very clear and obvious danger.
So you don't tell them very much then.
Well, no, like in the very like specific
Yeah.
sense of like how we basically
Yeah.
died. No, like almost died. Like she probably very specifically skirts around those details. But if somebody else fills them in, I mean that's.
I mean
somebody
V
else.
probably does sometimes.
Okay.
There was this big and cool monster, and we fought giants.
Meanwhile, Kelariis is just like, don't.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
give V like a look that's like V, she'll probably
No, I-
just stop.
There probably wouldn't, but it'd
Yeah.
be just like
Yeah, you
Or I forgot to mention.
your mother looks horrified every time it is mentioned. Your dad sort of like he's sort of smiling, but there's a very sort of like hard smile to the face every time it's sort of like you were in danger. Nabro seems fascinated by the tale, but his common is not good enough. Like that, he's constantly just like, what does this mean? So he doesn't.
He probably tries real hard.
I mean,
like,
if anything, this is an educational experience for
Well,
him.
he's not saying what does that mean in common. He's saying what does that mean in draconic to sort of be
Well,
like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's an educational experience. He's learning a bit of
Yeah.
common
Yeah.
through storytelling.
So yeah, I guess you relate your tale. It takes quite some time.
do we tell them we went to the Shadowfell?
No.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Tell them we defeated that guy, but don't tell them how.
Or
Yeah, don't tell
where?
them where we went. Yeah.
No one should have to experience that other than us.
It is unlikely that anyone ever will intentionally, but
Yeah, fair.
If you don't have to experience that, you shouldn't.
yeah. Okay, so you finish telling the story and sort of by this point, like Nabo is sort of like sinking below the table. He's like looks like he's getting pretty tired. And like I think after you finish the story, sort of like your dad sort of chimes in and sort of says, "Well, you certainly seem to have been on many adventures."
I mean, that's definitely one way of putting it. It's been a long. How many months has it been?
Oh god. Well, we started
Um,
at like the we started at the end of spring, and it is now mid-autumn. I know because of V's hair.
Yes,
That's fair.
No, about 6 months.
A
Shit.
little bit less than that.
Yeah.
Five.
Five?
Yeah, for like Yeah, probably about 5 months.
It's yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long 5 months.
Well, you say it's been a long 5 months, and he sort of says, it's ever since you left, I think, almost 2 years. Like, ever since you left almost 2 years ago, we've worried for you, especially when the soldiers came and told us that you'd wow.
Things are really, really far now.
Anyway, now is not the time to discuss that. But yes, well, I suppose we have been well as well. Life goes on for the Riptide clan. Trade taxes are still high, but the demand for fish is up again this year, so family have sent your cousins down to help us meet the quota, pay for the license. You should come out on the boats with us if you have time. They'll be surprised to see how much you've grown. Kind of been
So buff now.
kind of been more than
You're so swole.
So
well.
Whopping 20 strength.
He continues with, you can't have been more than 4 or 5 the last time they saw you. I can still remember you chasing them around with that little wooden sword of yours.
Oh. Now she has a big glowing sword of justice.
Just have like this big fancy sword.
She has
Fine.
literal justice.
This custom plate armor.
I know.
Yeah.
Jesus. That custom plate armor is
Yeah.
probably worth more than your entire family.
Wow.
Wow.
Or at least an
that's-
entire
that's
house.
Well, yeah.
But
Did they say anything about that?
also, I don't think we'd be
Have
wearing
noticed
it.
how
I don't think we'd be
fucking
wearing
loaded
it.
Kelariis is not wearing the armor,
No,
but
No. I do have a fancy sword.
they don't mention anything about money.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
but yeah, like yeah, your dad sort of like finishes the little anecdote about you running around with a sword, and at this point, like, I think your mother's sort of been like watching, just kind of observing as this conversation goes on, and she suddenly sort of like starts up and says, "By the platinum scales, though, it is getting late." And sort of like chivies your brother up. No, go to bed now. If you're to go with Mr. Dumover tomorrow morning as well. And he's sort of like, but... And then she was just like, no complaints. Your sister will be here in the morning. Go. And yeah, he reluctantly sort of like, he hugs you, Kelariis, and then just goes off into the back.
When he hugs.
At which point your mother sort of like lowers her voice a little bit, and she says, "You are planning to stay, aren't you? You're not under any warrant."
Not that I'm aware of.
So you are staying then? I mean, your room is still mostly the way it was, although your father has taken over part of it as a workshop, and sometimes Navo plays there in the evenings. I can try and find some blankets for your friends too. There might be enough room in here if we'd have to push out the table. And she starts starts
it's really
fussing
okay.
around.
We
Well, I
we
don't know
are
if she's saying this in Draconic or not.
Oh no, she's saying this in common.
It's
Oh,
really okay. You don't have to trouble
Yeah.
yourselves. We
I like
we
sleeping
are more,
outside.
We are more than happy to accommodate ourselves.
And we have tents.
We also have
Oh,
tents.
yeah, we have all the
Yeah.
time.
we are more than used to sleeping outside.
We didn't come here to invade your home. No, that's low-key what happened.
I mean, you were invited in.
Yeah. And now we're going to leave again, so we're not staying. Therefore, we haven't invaded. We just sort of shown up. Had a
Well,
chat.
she sort of like she nods to understand that she like you're like, oh, don't worry about it, but she's still sort of like bustling around, but she's as she's sort of bustling around, she's constantly just looking at you, Kelariis, as if she's still expecting an answer from you.
Oh, well, we're definitely staying for the night, maybe another day, depending. And I kind of like look to everybody, like because we're not on like a
don't know what
super
to plan.
strict time frame right now, right?
We're in
Not
no
at all.
rush.
Yeah, like just out of character. Like I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
No.
forget that we're on like a strict time frame for anything, right?
Nope.
No, I don't think we're on a time frame.
Okay. Yeah. So
We were
I'm
basically
saying-
just here for your sword, or like for the last artifact, right?
yeah down for.
So
the
as long as that
like,
doesn't have like a specific time frame, we're good.
Not that I know of. If there's one, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh god!
Oh shit!
Well, we just screwed ourselves.
To be fair, like I don't think an extra few days on the however many 100 years that weapon's been lying wherever it is gonna matter that much.
Yeah. Fair. But I mean, other shit could be happening that we don't know. Anyway, that's
yeah.
beyond our knowledge.
Nope. So we can't think about that. That'd be metagaming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you sort of say, well, we could stay a couple of days, and yeah, your mother sort of like lights up with that, and she's like, oh, good. Yeah, I'll.
That's okay, of course.
Of course. And she just sort of like she just sort of scurries up to you and just sort of like hugs you again, and it's just sort of like, it's been so long. It's just, we do worry.
And I worry about all of you all the time as well. I'm sorry it's been such a long time.
Shall we give you your privacy for the night then, Kelariis?
Let me at least help you all get set up outside.
Sure.
Cool. So you guys sort of go outside, and there isn't really so much like a front garden, but there is like a space of like dry ground with like scrubby grass where you can set up your tents like just between the house and the road.
Yeah, that works. Might as well.
Guys, my hair is a complete mess. It's not used to things being this warm at this time of year.
Yes, it's really disgusting outside.
Well, I suppose there's only one amongst us who's finding it pleasant weather.
I mean, it's quite nice this time of year. Not as hot as it is in summer.
Yeah, I do suppose it could be worse.
It gets
Yeah.
hotter.
I would
You
imagine
have
it
no
gets
idea.
much hotter.
Are you sure you're all alright out here?
We'll manage.
It's not like this place is air conditioning.
We've
Yeah.
been
Wow.
worse places.
I don't think air conditioning exists, to be fair.
Yeah, like the
so-
Shadowfell.
No.
Well, we have the V Ice Barrel Special.
There we go.
Do we have a barrel of water?
As it is evening, it isn't particularly warm outside. It is the being by the ocean, the temperature drop between day and night is quite significant. So it is still far warmer than you are used to it being at night, but it is not like swelteringly warm.
Yeah, Arya. If you're not liking these extreme temperatures, we need to get you up a mountain at some point as well.
Yeah. It's just really
Wouldn't
gross.
that be like
hot.
extremely cold?
Indeed.
I
Then
feel
why
like
would
she
you
would-
like that.
I feel like she'd handle cold better than hot.
Yeah, that's fair.
You do tend to find a lot of ways to wrap yourself up.
Hmm.
Yes, your poor beleaguered hound is sort of just there like,
Oh yeah, poor Lyra is probably dying.
Oh god, I hope she doesn't
Yeah.
have
This
the,
is
like,
not
winter
this is
coat
not wolf
going on, like-
territory.
No,
Yeah.
she'll. Well, that's. I don't know. Actually, that's a
I
good
don't
point.
think it might have not like filled in completely at this point.
yeah.
It's probably starting to show up, but
Oh
not that
no,
much.
poor girl.
So maybe we are at a time
No.
limit.
You honestly you probably should like brush her out so she's not like completely padded up with fluff.
Come here and give her a good brush.
Yeah.
Worst case, we'll give her a shave.
Oh!
No, do not shave.
I imagine you say that in character, and Lyra just gives you this look like, "Don't fucking touch me."
Maybe shave is the wrong word there.
Is it though? Removing the hair?
I believe the word you're
Cool it
looking
out.
for is trim,
Fine.
because shave would imply getting rid of all of it, would it not?
Trim, maybe.
Well, I have no idea what the best course of action is regarding. Well,
Lyra's just gonna have to suck it up. I guess the only thing.
So, what are you doing about sleeping arrangements?
Just like sleep like under a tree or something.
Yeah, set up tents.
Yeah.
Under a
Because
tree.
you have
And
you
we've
have
got-
2 tents which stores 4 people. You've got
Yeah.
Kelariis, you've had the offer to stay inside, so you can probably stay inside. If you remember the size of your room correctly, you might be able to fit 1 other person in there.
Alright.
Oh, don't
And then
And then we've got Tallithsyr and
yeah,
Zuda as well.
you've got
Oh
followers.
no! Fuck yeah!
Oh,
I
shit.
forgot about them.
As we
Okay,
always do.
let's have.
Isn't Tallithsyr from around here?
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, not
this village.
not here, no, but yeah, much further north.
Okay,
Let's
so
have-
why doesn't
Let's have Tallithsyr join Kelariis in
Yeah.
her room.
Yeah.
Then if we and Arya can like sleep in trees or whatever the one.
In the trees.
in the tree?
Or like under a tree. They're pretty happy outside either way. And then like Vondal and
Yeah.
Grim and Sudar
We've
can
got
take
the
space.
tents.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Okay.
At this rate, we're gonna need like a 10-man tent.
Oh, we'll just buy an extra tent. It's
The
not a big deal.
investment.
Yeah. So, Kelariis, you go back into the house, and like your mother just like frets over like getting a whole bunch of things ready for you in your room, even though you're just like it's fine. I have bedroll and stuff.
Mom, please.
She's just, Mom, please.
Mom, please.
I'm an adult. But yeah, you open the door to your room, and it was never a big room to start with, and you just like you go in, and the first thing you sort of see is the bed, and you're just like, man, I really remember it being larger, but I guess it isn't. But yeah, half of the room is dominated by a woodworking easel that has been set up that's got like an oar resting in it, which you can assume is what your mother was talking about with your dad taking over part of it as a workshop, because he's quite clearly been doing something.
Yeah,
But you have to sort of just like fold it down and put it in a corner so like Tallithsyr can lie on the floor.
well, she
but-
probably fits better on the bed than I do, right?
Yeah, she's a little bit shorter than you, so she might.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I'd be like, you probably take the bed. Because I don't really fit on it anymore.
Yeah.
Very well.
She is just like completely overwhelmed by like, I'm in your bedroom.
Oh,
Oh my
Sarah,
god.
please.
You grew up in here.
Yeah.
God, and we thought Grim was the fucking one who looked up to you.
Well, think in a different way.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Grim
Look at how many
Grim
Tallithsyr-
respects Kelariis.
Tallithsyr
Tallithsyr
is-
idealizes Kelariis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
difference.
I'm like, she could like
No problem.
swing and kill 3 men with like in one go. Like that's incredible. And like broom, who cares?
Wow.
Grim's all about how buff Kelariis is. Basically.
Just the skills.
Just the skill and how buff. It's fine.
So yeah, so you sort of get set up on the floor. Like Tallithsyr like goes to like she like takes off her leather armor, the clothes she wears underneath, gets into the bed and is just sort of like, ow.
What's wrong?
She just like reaches down under the cover and pulls out like a little wooden boat.
Oh,
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 oh boy.
rip.
You presume that belongs to your brother.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would be Nalbo's.
Yeah.
I like take it and kind of place it on the side.
Yeah.
Maybe check for more boats.
Yeah. Well, you notice that in here there is like a wooden box that you you probably remember your dad like making this because he does a little bit of woodworking on the side, so he's made this like little rough wooden box that you used to both like sort of put your toys in.
That's adorable. I'm gonna put the boat away in the box.
Okay.
Maybe
So
reminisce slightly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
as you open it up, you go to put the boat in, and you notice that like sort of lying underneath a couple of others like small toys is it's almost like a dagger hilt, and you go to like take it out, and you realize that it's the wooden sword that your dad made from you. And wooden sword is kind of like a little bit of a rough estimation because it's like two short planks stuck together and like kind of very roughly shaped. Because this was back when you were very young, and your dad wasn't as good at woodworking as he is now. But yeah, you sort of get that out, and you remember it being much bigger. You remember having to hold it in two hands, but now you just sort of like pick it up in one hand. It's like, wow, this is tiny.
A small sword.
So small.
So small.
Yeah.
Like swing it a little bit.
Yeah, you give it a few practice swings.
You know, as you do when you find
Yeah.
things that you can be.
Yeah, when you find a former toy sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
You slew many an imaginary villain with that sword.
Those imaginary
All
villains.
practice for the future.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Little did you know.
Yeah. Although from the way it's sort of like at the bottom, you get the feeling that Nambo doesn't play with it very much.
That's fair.
He's got like a lot of little like toy boats, and there's like there's something that you haven't seen before in there, and it's like it's essentially like a little wooden post with like a ball on the top, but it's basically got like bits of cloth like sewn over it and like stuck down so that it looks like a man in a robe, and it's got like a little face drawn on the ball to make it look like it's like a doll of a man in a robe. So you've no idea what it's supposed to be, but it's a toy, I guess.
Anything's
Sure.
a toy if you use your
Yeah.
imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is very much like none of these are sort of like professionally crafted toys. These are like things that your mum and dad have like cobbled together.
Always nice.
But yeah,
By the weird robe thing. But that's fun.
but yeah. So I guess you guys all go to sleep. Okay. As you rest, Cav, I need you to come with me.
Aw.
Bye, Cal.
What?
Okay.
No.
So, despite the heat, you manage to slip swiftly into a deep sleep. And as you do so, you experience an odd sensation. You feel as if you're being carried along in a soft river current. Your mind sort of you spend some sort of time sort of like trying to fathom exactly what it is that's happening to you, but you can't quite sort of get your head around it. And after what seems like maybe an hour or so, your mind is filled with a vision of somewhere else. It's a different place and a different time, and you see you see the visage of a human man. Who has a completely clean-shaven head and a thin black beard, and he's got a very sort of dark complexion. And as you watch, he's passing through a bustling marketplace that is sheltered over from the fierce sun by a number of coloured cloths. And as you become more aware of sort of your surroundings, you can you can sense a whole load of alien smells that you've never smelled before. A couple of smells are familiar to you, sort of like the smell of tanned leather and some spices, but a lot of them are very strange to you. And from your perspective as a spectator, you see this man. He begins to sort of pass through the crowd in the marketplace, and many people within the crowd sort of reverentially bow their heads as he goes past. As he walks under the gap between two of the coloured cloths, the midday sun catches the gleam of the handle of the great sword on his back, which you recognise as being the same great sword that Torm showed you in your last vision. The man continues his path back through the marketplace until he reaches a massive shaded arch that leads into a very beautiful, very peaceful garden. He spends a moment or two in there in momentary meditation before he climbs a set of stairs into a massive amber stone building. As he pushes open the large doors into this stone building, he enters a huge hall, set in which is basically a very extensive mosaic floor. And as the streams of daylight pass through the massive arched windows at the opposite end of the hall, you can see that the rays of light illuminate a number of scenes that you recognise as like pictograms of scenes from the Book of Torm. The clean-shaven man walks up to an altar, bends his knee, places the sword on the altar, and begins a ritual that is kind of familiar to you. It's a ritual you've performed many times before, a sacrament of consecration before your god. And as you watch him do this, you feel a sense of revelation. This here is where your journey is headed. And this is the man that you seek, the man that Torm told you to assist in whatever way you could. And as sort of that revelation disappears, you find yourself waking up with the dawn.
Okay.
And we'll go back.
Seriously typing.
Okay.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello.
no.
Okay, so the night passes until all of you are awoken in basically a few minutes before the dawn by the hustle and bustle of many men, many dragonborn men leaving their homes and heading not the way you came through town, but up the other way through town. Kelariis, you awake to the sort of a sound that you'd grown so familiar to that you could once sleep through it, but you can no longer sleep through. There's basically like you hear your dad getting out of bed and getting ready to go fishing for the day. So you are all awake.
Cool. I'm not even gonna leave the tent. Just start scribbling.
Okay.
Get the book.
Get the book!
Get the journal.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you were sleeping in the same tent as Grim, right? So.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Would Grim not sleep with his buddy?
Well,
Oh.
They're not that close.
That implies.
Okay, fair enough.
it's business.
Luka.
Yeah.
Luka.
You know
They're
what I
just
meant,
business
Luka.
partners.
Luka, please.
I mean, even then, that probably doesn't.
And they
tell
were
you.
He-
It's just.
He's his valet.
Oh god, they were roommates.
Yeah. But no, he probably does just sit there like early morning writings.
Okay. So yeah, Grim, I guess you wake up and Vondal is like frantically scribbling in his book.
Honestly, I don't think it's that rare. Maybe.
No, it
it's
isn't.
more enthusiastic.
Well, give me an insight check.
He also does normally do it at night.
Yeah, he does not do it in the evening.
I normally do it before we sleep.
Yes.
It's normally I'm going to write in the book. Okay, time for bed.
Yes.
Yeah, insights. Well, I don't have my hopes up for insight, but
Okay.
That's not terrible.
That is enough to sort of get an insight. But by the way that he's doing it, like you wake up and you're sort of like, good morning, and he does not bat an eyelid. He is incredibly focused on writing this down.
Wow.
Wow.
excited about the new surroundings, or Vondal.
Is that what?
You seem rather distracted this morning, but wanna
Yeah,
roll
something.
something?
Hang on, I'll be with you once I finish.
Sure. Well, I guess you can share whatever it is with the others.
Well,
During
suffice to
breakfast.
say, for now, sufficient. Rather interesting thing happened in the night.
Okay. Well, as I walk past him, I will try and have a small peek in his journal, but I imagine it's all in Dwarven.
Yeah, it's probably all in Dwarvish, I believe.
Let's see.
It's not like Phoebus pictures.
Yeah.
I've actually noted he's written it in common.
Oh, okay. So,
Oh.
do you want to give me a perception check? I will say you can have advantage because he's not like trying to shield it.
He has a rough.
Oh
he has
my
a
god.
rough, he still has a rough dwarven hand, but
Sure. Give me like a sentence of what he's written.
Oh shit.
what's a sentence?
Yeah, just a sentence that Grim catches you as you finish writing it.
Let's think. I guess probably he probably realizes time to finish, so he finishes off a sentence, and it probably just says something like almost something along the lines of, "I wonder if he'll know as well."
Okay.
That's cryptic.
I'm gonna take this to breakfast, since he said he was gonna elaborate there.
Okay. Yeah, you sort of get out of the tent and stretch. Arya is just like people watching as all of these Dragonborn walk out of the village.
Yeah, because I'm like, I've been awake for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Keeping mosquitoes away.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Practice shooting them.
Yeah. Oh my god, can you imagine if she could shoot a fucking
It's
mosquito?
It's at times like this that you wish you had Lithari, because you'd just be there, just catching them.
Yeah. That'd be dope as hell. I can't do that though. I imagine she tries, but she isn't. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Give me a dexterity check.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
Nice.
You begin to in your meditation you start to focus on the patterns they tend to take when they approach you, and you've sort of learned that you can catch them just before they land on you when they fly towards you, because they fly in, and if you just close your fist at just the right time you can catch them.
Damn. Can't believe I can catch mosquitoes barehanded.
Yeah. I mean, they're squashed when you catch them, but
Well, yeah.
Time
That's
to
the-
multi-class
that's the
into
point.
monk.
Yeah, for real.
well, you have the gloves of
Oh,
missile
that's
snaring
true.
as well,
That's
so
true. I do have those.
just
Have you ever used
Shit.
those?
No.
Nope.
No, not really.
Well, you don't often have a free hand.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
that's true.
well.
And,
don't
like,
have a
Shot
free
at
hand.
a
Yeah.
bunch from the boat. God damn it.
Yeah, technically you do, because as long as you're not actually making the attack action, your hand is free.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
suppose
because
Because
you're not knocking an arrow.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because
Yeah.
you're only ever assumed to be using a two-handed weapon in two hands when you're making the attack action.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to remember.
Yeah.
Because usually I just think I'm holding a bow, can't do that with one hand.
Yes, because the same goes for your spellcasting components. When you cast a spell, you don't have to put the bow away to cast a spell. You just do it with your hand that you're not drawing an arrow. But yes, so I guess after presumably Kelariis, you sort of get up and go out into the kitchen or their living space, because there isn't really a kitchen. It's all one thing. Yeah, you get up and sort of like your dad is there. He's sort of like dressed, and he's going around like making himself food from what was left from the evening before. And he sort of greets you and says, "I don't suppose you'll be you fancy coming out this morning? I understand it's if you want to spend a little bit more time getting settled."
I'm thinking maybe tomorrow, just so I can get back in the swing of things here.
That works for me. I'll see if your cousins want to come round for evening meal.
That'd be nice to see them. It's been a really long time.
Right, well, I can't hang about any longer. And he sort of like comes up to you, like gives you a peck on the forehead, and leaves.
Oh.
Have good fishing. I assume there's like an actual thing that they
Yeah.
say to each other, but I don't know what it would be.
Yeah. It's there's some draconic axiom for.
Yeah.
It's a bit fancier than have a good fishing.
Yes.
Look here now. it's
Yeah.
the thought.
It is the thought.
Yeah.
V is trying to talk to birds, by the way, because there's birds she hasn't seen before.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. You do that without any issue. Just sort of like chatting to the birds, like "Good morning," and the birds are like, "This is the morning song. It is the morning."
Holy shit.
I love it.
Great bird.
And yeah.
The morning song.
And I guess
Yeah,
yeah.
Really similar to back home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the fuck off, this is my tree, have sex with me, I can make my chest big and red, all of that stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the
God.
pre-standard bird response.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound as good if you put it that way.
That really does.
I mean, that's literally what birds are saying.
Yes.
So.
Probably. I built you a house.
Yep. Why won't you love me? I built you a house.
I'm doing a fancy dance.
I practiced this dance my entire life. It is perfectly unique.
Doing a sexy dance.
I love birds. I love
You
birds
want-
so
no,
much.
there's definitely one that's like, you want some fuck?
Wow.
It's the thing.
You want yellow?
Uh,
She doesn't want
Doesn't
yellow.
want yellow.
Blue.
Too many memes.
Too many fucking bird memes up in this business.
Get her a stick.
bitches love sticks.
Guys, please. Why are we like this?
You started this.
I did not. I did
No,
not start.
Helena started this.
I didn't start shit. I just want.
You asked to talk to the birds.
Yeah.
That is
You
a
know how
hard-
birds are. Anyway, so you all sort of gather in Kelariis' like family living space and find something to eat. Like your mother comes out at some point. She's just like makes what is it like? Is it like rice porridge? I guess.
Yeah.
Just like cook it. Starts like making a big thing of that. Sort of like is like, can you watch this? And goes and gets your brother out of bed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can I help?
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to sort of like the day continues like much as the way you remember it. It's almost like nothing has changed. But yeah. So after you guys eat, the world is yours.
Nice. Well, actually, since Vondal said he was gonna talk,
Oh yes, yeah. Have your breakfast
I'm
conversation.
gonna. So Vondal, were you expecting to meet someone, or what what was this about this morning?
Ah, yes. See, I don't remember if I told you guys before we left, but I had a dream from Torm saying that I should be expecting to meet and help someone at some point. Did I mention this? I'm not sure if I did.
I think you did.
Wasn't that the thing with me or not?
No.
Okay.
No, it was the same
No,
vision.
It was the same. Yeah,
It was the same vision,
dream.
but a different thing.
Yeah, same vision, different person. It was involving that, but it was like you're expecting to meet this new person and an old friend. The old friend was you.
Okay.
But regardless, I had such a dream. If you've seen me summon my spiritual weapon, he supposedly wields a sword that looks like that. And I had another vision last night of actually seeing him.
Oh.
Ooh.
So I guess it's going to be interesting seeing exactly who this is and why it is that Torm says I should help him.
So if we see him, we should just be like, "Hello, do you need help?"
Well, I suppose that's something I would handle, but yes,
So
maybe worded slightly differently.
who's the person we keep a lookout for?
Yeah. Is it a
Yeah.
dragonborn?
No, it's a. Was he human?
A human man,
He was
yes.
human. Yeah, he's just human. But dark skin, shaved head, thin beard.
Okay, well,
The vision I saw was him walking through a rather busy market street.
Yeah, definitely the most noticeable factor about him is the sword.
Yeah. Also, yeah, radiant sword.
well, that shouldn't be too hard to recognize.
Yeah.
Well, you see
Definitely
what?
keep an eye out though.
Yeah. Well,
True.
technically, you've all seen what his sword looks like.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, usually when you summon it, we're kind of doing important stuff,
You
so
are.
I don't look at it too much.
It looks like this. Hold on. There you go. It's a little bit blurry, but
That is very
kinda
blurry,
blurry,
isn't it?
That's-
yeah.
I feel
Oh
like that's how
my.
we see it anyway. Like,
Oh yeah, because it's shining with radiant light usually. I'm gonna drag it over here where it's dark. You can see it.
whoosh.
Wonderful.
There you go. That's the
Yeah.
noise it usually makes.
So
but yeah, it
what
looks like
you're
that.
Saying is that we might counter it on the fish market, or
I don't think it was a fish market.
It
There was a lot
it
more
wasn't.
going on.
Yeah, it wasn't the marketplace that you remember from walking through the town.
I'll say this: it definitely didn't smell of seawater and fish.
Hey now.
I can't say what it did smell like because I don't really know what it smelled like. But it didn't smell like seawater and fish.
You don't know what it smelled like. How
What
do
are
you
you
know
talking
that?
about?
how
I'm
you
not
didn't
objecting to the smell. I'm just saying that this place I saw did not smell of that.
So what you said again, V?
Well, I was gonna say, how do you know that it doesn't smell like that if you don't know what it does smell like?
Because it smells of things I don't recognize.
Oh, okay.
Like there was leather and spices and stuff, but I didn't recognize half of the other stuff.
Leather, steel, torches.
I hate you so much.
Yes, but the thing you remember the most from it was A, the smell, and B, the brightly coloured cloths that covered the market street.
That too. Brightly coloured cloth.
Also, the massive amber stone building that was
Yeah.
that he went into.
Massive
Okay,
amber
so
stone building.
What do we do
that's
today?
still- That's
That is an excellent question.
Because I mean, we could try to actively look for this person, but
I don't
Sounds
imagine
like
they're
you'll
here.
be meeting him anyway.
Yeah, and I don't imagine I don't, well, think he's here.
No. We don't
This-
exactly have a bustling market here.
I gathered as much.
Yeah, even back in the port town, you know that, like, Vondal describes this thing to you and it doesn't sound like what you remember.
Alright. Well, I mean, I can show you around my quite small compared to other places we've been village.
Why not?
Show you the water. Not out
Give
at
us a
sea.
tour. Give us a tour. Show us some water that isn't seawater.
It's still seawater,
Yes, but it's not out at sea.
but it's like a
No.
beach.
It's the shore.
It's the shore. The
Show us-
shore is nice.
Gonna show us a beautiful
Water
coastline.
close to land.
See water from the land
Yeah.
right next to it.
Yeah, there's some good places that you used to go swimming and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Is this going to be the other
Hell
fan
yeah.
service section where
Oh,
everyone
hell
goes
yeah.
swimming?
No, that doesn't have to be fan service.
Good point.
It's just a beach episode. It's fine.
The
Yeah.
beach episode. Hello and welcome to this beach episode.
I mean, Arya already has taken off her shirt, so. It's
Yeah,
all out there.
you none of you are wearing particularly much at breakfast, just for starters.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we also like very early on determined that like we don't really care too much anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Vondal-
Arya's wearing
Vondal's
her
sleeves.
wraps, so who cares?
Vondal's sleeves are super tucked up at his shoulders because he has long sleeves.
Yeah. And much like a certain piece of art, Grimm's got like 2 buttons undone. Just a
I was
Yeah.
thinking about that piece of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
tiny
That's
piece of
lovely.
that cheeky chest hair poking out.
Oh god.
can't
Oh.
believe this.
Grim is totally the type as well to like unbutton shirts like that.
Hey, if you got it, flaunt it.
Like yeah, even if it's not
No.
like super warm, Grim is just like 2 buttons undone. There we go.
Not sure, but sure.
Not sure, but sure. Alright.
Anyway,
Alright, let's go swimming.
well,
Cool.
like, have a tour.
I mean, I'll probably ask, like, Mom, need anything done very quickly because I'm home and I'm not gonna just be like, bye.
Yeah. No, she sort of says, well, I was just going to tidy up the place, so it's not exactly in tip-top condition. We weren't expecting guests. Not that I don't want to have you here. It's just caught me a little off guard.
It's okay. It's nice. Doesn't have to be super clean. It's okay.
Kelariis, is there any place I can buy souvenirs?
You don't really have a shop around here. There's like a there's like a little storefront bit where they almost like a street food vendor, but it's got like a small building over it, where generally the single fishermen eat there in the morning. So it's sort of like functions like a mini cafe, but there isn't really anywhere to sort of shop here.
Not
'Cause you-
so much a place to buy things, but we could maybe find something down at the shore.
Yeah.
There's shells. I assume. I assume there's shells at the shore.
Yeah.
Shells are even better.
Is there seashells at the
fun.
seashore?
Oh yeah. We don't sell them though. We just
No.
pick them up.
Good.
Yeah, you sort of show people around the village. It doesn't take very long. It's not a big village.
Yeah.
There's like a number of houses, and then you get down to like the boat jetty, you actually notice something when you get down to the boat jetty. There's no sign of your dad there, but your dad's boat is in sort of like the dry dock repair bit.
Oh.
But he's not there. He's clearly gone out somewhere. But it looks like his boat is in the process of, because his boat is like this very old sort of like very tatty thing, and there's quite clearly like a number of patched holes where he's like it's something's run up against it and it's like damaged the wood. and it's quite clearly in the process of being carefully repaired. But your dad seems to have gone out possibly in somebody else's boat? Like, you don't know of anybody who has a spare boat, so it seems unlikely he'd gone out in a spare boat.
Huh.
But yes.
Well, that's interesting.
But yeah, once you've looked around, I guess you go out to the beach?
Yeah.
Some shells.
Sure.
Shell time.
Sure.
Okay.
I can't believe I've accidentally facilitated the occurrence of a beach episode. Holy shit.
Yep.
Oh, he was
Here it
prepared.
comes.
I was ready.
Oh my god, it's so pretty.
Oh, some more music.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's music too. God damn it.
No, this is all fucking. You just stole all of these soundtracks from Wind Waker.
I did. This is the Wind Waker arc, couldn't you tell?
I can
Yeah.
Mm. God.
But do
Yeah, I
we have a
noticed.
talking boat?
Ah, damn it, no.
Damn. No, but we do have the lion iconography going.
We do. So we could get there.
We do.
We can get there. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
We just need to stick all my holy symbols on a boat.
Yup.
Yep.
A
Maybe
very
someone will
small
talk to you
boat.
through it.
All of us would fit on that boat.
We'll find a
No.
way.
Oh.
I mean, that boat could barely hold a small
The
child.
the figurehead on the Lady Riswin had a half man, half lion on it.
It did,
Oh, well, there we go.
but
Shit.
it didn't talk.
It wasn't the King of Red Lions, no.
Rob, how good is my seashell searching?
How good is your seashell searching? God, that's hard to say.
Does she find seashells on the seashore?
Do
Does
you
she then sell those seashells on the seashore?
do you want to roll me an investigation check? And does anybody want to help you?
Wait,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be survival?
Sure, I'll help.
Yeah, sure. It's survival because you're not actually trying to deduce anything from it.
Wait, do I get advantage?
If somebody's helping
Someone
you.
help.
Oh
Yes,
I
you're
guess
getting help.
I don't think we have
Definitely.
anything better.
Oh,
Boom.
I didn't need it. Help.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice survival.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you go beachcombing and you find like you go back with like your with whatever you're carrying on you, just absolutely stuffed full of
Oh my
shiny
god.
stuff.
V uses her little like shawl to make like a little bag.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
It's just
So
full of
many
things.
shells.
Fills it.
You find like a shell that you think is like it's really pretty, and then you go to pick it up and it's got like a hermit crab in it, so you just carry him around.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
A
Does
friend.
she find a shell she can hold up to her ear to make an ocean noise?
I mean, the ocean is right there.
That's true.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you want to be able to take the noise with you.
I know.
So even when you're far from the ocean, you can hold it to your ear.
I mean, you can hear the ocean in all shells because what you're actually hearing is the blood pulsing in your own ear.
Rob, do not ruin this illusion.
Shut up, Ferrous. The ocean noise is trapped within seashells.
Don't you know how this
No.
works?
Don't ruin it.
Okay.
Okay.
Science.
Would you go up to a 5-year-old and tell him Santa?
It's real magic. Fuck you.
Would you go up to a 5-year-old and tell him Santa is not real?
Yeah, that's just mean.
Bastard.
But Santa is real.
Alright, Grim, open up that bag of holding. I've got like a crap ton of seashells.
You just dump them all in.
Yeah.
This will work for now.
Yeah,
loaded.
just like shells, rocks.
He's gonna get back to the grove and just like turn up the bag of holding upside down and like think of
Yeah.
the things, and it's all just gonna go.
Yeah.
Look at all these things I found, guys.
Look, if we ever need it, we have like an instant beach party in the bag of holding now.
Just shovel some sand in there.
Yeah, just all of like the excess sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Those are probably pretty sandy seashells as well.
Porter Beach.
God, that sounds
Well,
horribly inconvenient.
If my beach holidays are anything to go by, you are never going to get all of the sand out of the bag of holding.
Nope. Never.
Luckily, the bag of holding is magic.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bag of holding is
That's
magic. You hold it
true.
upside down and think sand.
Otherwise,
And then
we'll
all the
that's
sand
true.
comes out. You can just will the sand all out of the bag in one go.
Isn't magic handy?
God, magic's great.
Man, I wish I had that when I went to the beach.
One thing I would
Right.
say though, wouldn't it be great if we could actually do that for like our shoes?
Yeah.
I don't think our shoes would do that.
I mean, I'm assuming you're going to the beach without wearing shoes.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Even though that's saying it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Walk fast.
Yeah.
Run. Just run.
Yeah,
on the
it is like white sand as well, so it's like the worst.
Oh
Oh,
shit.
shit.
We have to get down closer to the water, so it's cold.
no! Just
Yeah.
fucking like you see Kelariis just pulse across the
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're all like, why is she running so fast? And then we feel
And
it.
then we find out
and then
straight
you feel
away.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tallithsyr seems unbothered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everyone else is bothered.
Got gold ancestry and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking dragonborns.
Yeah. Speaking of, Tallithsyr is fascinated by the ocean.
Oh yeah, because she's not. Before we went on the boat, she'd never actually seen
Yep.
ocean,
None of us.
and this is different than boat
Yes.
ocean.
Yeah. Well, more specifically as well, as you look out into the ocean, because the water is super clear here,
Yes.
you can see like out and down for ages, and basically as you look out into the ocean, you can see that there's all surrounding this coastline, and there's like little rocky islands that are like out in the water. They are all like filled with coloured sea plants, and like the further out you get, you can see like little coral reefs that grow off like the rocky outcroppings.
I'm going for the sea plants.
Okay.
Bye, me.
Yep.
Look, man, you promised me sea plants. I'm going for
did.
it.
I did. Take everybody to the sea plants.
Okay.
Look, guys.
You go and investigate the sea plants.
Oh.
They're Kelariis, like you're not sure it's whether you've been away for a really long time or whether something is different, but all of the plants and coral reefs just seem to be like brighter and shinier than they were when you were last here. It might just be perspective, but you're not sure.
God, I feel that real hard.
So yeah, you start to go out into the water, and yeah, Tallithsyr's like tugs your arm and is like, I can't.
Oh. Oh no. I guess I could probably pull her with us if she wanted to.
Do you want to give me a persuasion check?
Yeah. I am let me clarify first. I am actually capable of doing this because I do not want to lie to her.
Well, what are you trying to do? You're just trying to like support her as you go out into the water.
Yeah, like
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
yeah, okay. Alright, Kelariis, come on.
She is anxious, but she will trust you.
Yeah. I will not let anything bad happen. As long as it's within my power.
Yeah. So you sort of like you lead her out, and she's incredibly nervous. Like she gets like out of her depth, and she does that thing that you introduce people to the first time when they're out of water, and they just start like wriggling around because they're not sure how to like work. How do I human in water?
How to?
Uh,
I probably just like talk her through whatever I was taught when
Yeah.
I was being.
Yeah, you can spend some time trying to teach her how to swim.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I assume everybody else can swim. I don't actually know if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Arya can swim.
Yeah.
If you are proficient in athletics, you can definitely swim.
yeah, I think most of us have actually been in the water at some
Yes.
point.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, definitely.
I think the only person who doesn't have proficiency in athletics is V, but I think V can swim by nature of being V.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I used to have Alter Self, which made me
Yeah.
swim even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you can definitely swim because you swam in Silverbrook's spring.
And I literally swam like last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true.
That did happen.
Those are things that happened.
Well, you didn't swim last episode. You went in the water. Oh no, you dove in the water. Yeah, you know. So,
Yeah, she went diving.
Kind of
Yeah.
need to swim to be in the ocean.
Yes.
Just a little
Yeah,
Yeah. So Tallithsyr is the only person who can't swim.
boogie.
cool.
Well, she's gonna learn.
Yeah, teach Kelariis
I
teaches
will
the Zero how to
teach
swim.
Yeah. Zudor swims around in the water for a little bit, then it is just like, okay, that's enough of that. Just gets out of the water and just sits down.
Honestly, Vondal's probably just sitting as well.
Yeah.
Probably just sits. Probably sits with Zudor. Just afterwards, because like he realizes everyone else is messing around in the water, and if Zudor's not anymore, might as well keep him company.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, you explore the plants and the coral reefs as you wish. While this is happening, those of you who are out in the water, do you want to give me a perception check?
Oh my god.
Nice.
Shit. I
That's
can
very
see
nice.
everything.
No one
Okay.
can hide from my sight.
Okay,
That's not a very
so
good French accent.
I'm sorry.
so as you are out swimming, you notice a number of large creatures that are like swimming out further out into the ocean. I was gonna say, do you want to give me a nature check to see if you know what they are?
Is that only Arya?
Well, everybody.
Oh, fuck. Sweet.
Oh.
Arya has no idea what they
There
are.
goes. I spent all my points on a natural 20. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
Kelariis, I will say you can have advantage because you've probably
Oh.
seen these creatures before. So,
Alright, fair enough.
Grim and Kelariis, you are aware that these are dolphins.
Yay!
Happy fish.
Happy fish.
Happy fish.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, like you sort of like watch these things like swim around in the water before you look up from watching these things swimming around in the water. Like they sort of like split up and disperse, and you see another bronze dragonborn is sitting on the rocks out in by one of the coral reefs.
Oh shit.
We do anything?
I don't know I don't know how far away they are, and like if I can make out any discerning features, but
That person was not there before.
Give me a perception check to see if you can see them, like make anything out about them rather.
yes, my great perception. Haha, my
No,
great
no. Like as far as you can tell, they are bronze, and like they see you looking at them, and they wave back.
Oh. Well, I mean, they don't seem to be like,
I'm-
fuck are these people?
I'm pretty suspicious that they weren't there before.
What?
Someone just showed up to the beach. How is that suspicious?
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Oh no.
Oh no, people walk places that are pretty.
Wait, no, this is out in the water, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like on an island that it's like a little rocky
Yeah.
outcropping in the middle of the water.
This is not on the beach.
I mean, Kelariis is gonna go for a swim, like close enough to be able to talk.
Sure, you swim on over. What are you doing with Tallithsyr at this point? Because
Oh,
she hasn't progressed really past the doggy paddle, but she's getting
Oh.
there.
I assume that this is like way deeper.
Yes, this is yeah, like maybe 60 feet, 70 feet out.
Yeah, I probably don't want to like take her with me that far. Just like, you're doing great. Maybe go back to the place where you can stand for a bit. I want to go check out whoever this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless somebody else.
Yeah,
Wants
yeah. She goes back to the shore and sort of like sits next to the others.
Beach,
I
we're
believe in
the sand crew.
You're doing great.
Sand crew is way better than the water crew.
Wow. I beg to differ. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
I like to think that you let go of the Tallithsyr. You're like you can go back on your own, and she manages to make it back to the shore, only going under once.
I'm so proud of her. You did it! You did great!
I'll give her a little thumbs up when she gets on the beach.
Okay. Yeah, she's very clearly not as water adept as perhaps some of the other members of your party.
Yeah, that's
No.
fair.
So Kelariis is swimming out to see who this Dragonborn is. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm
Well, I
so,
guess-
I don't know.
Sitting on the beach.
Suspicious of this.
Just relaxing. Kind of assume Kelariis knows what she's doing.
When do I ever? Let's be real.
Look,
I
if
just
there's
pretend
any
I know what
time
I'm
you're
doing.
supposed
You just
to
have-
know, then it's when you're at home.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
an
that's fair.
excellent illusion of acting like you're in control.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what you're doing in reality. You
Kelariis
don't.
has a lot of confidence most of the time. Almost always. She puts off the air of it at least.
So yeah, you swim closer to this Dragonborn who's like sitting out on the rocks. As you swim closer, you notice that they definitely appear to be female from outward appearance, and they're wearing basically like a I don't quite want to say tank top because that's not quite right, but it's like you know like the top half of a swimsuit sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
That like it ends like just like at the ribs, but is like sort of just straps. That is very sort of like very fancy looking actually. Sort of like it's quite clearly well designed for swimming in, and it is a almost a brilliant white material. Like it, white material in a medieval setting is very tricky to come by if you don't have magic. But not only that she's wearing basically like a matching swimsuit in those colours, like shorts and top, that are like sort of like they are covered in like gold thread detailing. And as you approach, she sort of greets you jovially in Draconic.
Hello.
This is so suspicious.
I know, I'm like a little sketched out of character, but I'm just really curious, and Kelariis would go.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, hello, lovely day for swimming."
Yeah, it's very nice weather. Water's beautiful as always.
Yeah, she sort of like looks out over her shoulder and is like, isn't it just?
I'm assuming, like, coming closer that this isn't somebody that I recognize at all. From...
No, you've never seen this person before.
Okay. Do you come here often? This sounds like the horrible beginning of a really bad flirtation. This is not what
Really
I meant it to be.
She turns back to you and says, "Oh yes, I'm always around here somewhere." Sort of like points down like further down the coast, like away from your village, and she says, "Yeah, I'm living just down there."
Do I know of another village down there? Or anything down there?
There's not another village for like a long ways that way, but there is just like stretches of beach. There's also basically there's like a what's it called, like a promontory that is sort of colloquially known as like Grey Cliffs. That is just sort of a basically it's an outcropping that separates the like the shoreline. It sticks out like a massive cliff into the water, and it's made of like this really really sturdy grey stone, which is why it exists, and because the rest of the beach has sort of been washed away and broken up, but there's still this promontory of solid grey rock. It's possible there's like buildings out there, like you've never been that far down. Well, not since you were younger.
A long, long time ago.
Yes.
I was not buff and I was much smaller.
Yes.
Oh, well, I just had never seen you, and I thought I knew most of the people in this area. Though I have been away for a while, so I shouldn't have assumed.
She sort of shrugs with a coy smile and says, I've been here a long time. I haven't been out. I don't get out much. Well, at least not for the last couple of years. But I'm deciding to make the most of it now.
I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Kelariis. I give the entire name and title. Not
Yeah.
Name and title, what? You know.
You have a
Yeah.
title? Well, I guess you do actually have a title.
Title.
Well, yeah, not that title, but yeah, your clan, clan title. Yeah, she sort of returns the greeting and introduces herself as Hayasa. Just Hayasa.
That's very nice to meet you. Would you like to, I guess, join my friends and I? We're just enjoying the day out here.
Yeah, she smiles and says, "Oh yes, it'd certainly be interesting to meet some people from different places in the world."
Wow. I guess kind of you
Okay.
know, you slowly just kind of push yourself back in the water as if all right, I'm
Yeah.
this way. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, she slips off the rock, disappears under the water, and in a what is the I can't remember what the swimming maneuver is where you basically just wiggle your body and you propel yourself along under the water.
Yeah.
She
I
basically
don't know the name of it.
she does that and goes way further than you might expect. She is a more than skilled swimmer. Yeah, surfaces and then sort of just breaststrokes over. She gets there long before you do.
Shit.
Yeah, the rest of you who are still in the water, this very very lithe dragonborn woman speeds past you.
Speedboat.
Yeah.
Kelariis is trying really hard to keep up and is not.
Yeah. You swim pretty fast. You've got a decently high athletics, but
Yeah.
you are not as fast as she is.
Well, shit.
But yeah, so yeah, presumably you all end up on the shore.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, Hayasa introduces herself to everybody.
Well, hello. Guess it introduce ourselves first.
Yeah, it sort of goes around shakes hands or whatever greeting that you do. Yeah, she seems very interested in where all of you come from. She's sort of yes, oh yes, so you're a dwarf?
Yeah.
It's very nice to meet you. Sort of goes along, gets to you, Arya, and it's just oh, an elf. I haven't spoken to an elf in quite some time.
I'm very suspicious. Can I insight
hell.
check that statement?
Sure.
What do you mean you're insight checking an NPC?
Ah, it doesn't matter. What does
It,
she mean by a long time?
it's-
She's a dragon.
yeah,
They don't live that long.
it's a truthful statement.
Can't believe she wasn't lying that she doesn't see elves in Dragonborn land that often.
Yeah, I can't believe she doesn't see elves really far away from elven lands.
Yeah.
Good.
Honestly, that's just ridiculous.
It's fine.
It's not like we're over several weeks travel away from any other elves.
You know.
There might be out enclave.
No, that might.
You know.
Well, she just said I haven't spoken to an elf. There's nothing to infer from that.
We are going way too deep into this.
We are,
You are.
as usual.
But yes, she completes her greetings. Seems content to be introduced to you, work out who you all are, and then just sort of flops out on the sand next to all of you.
Okay.
Alright, fair enough.
Wow.
I guess, I'd probably ask how things have been in the area if she said she's been here for a while.
Depends how you mean.
I guess in general, I've been away for several years, so this is my first time home in a while.
She sort of smiles and says, "Ah, yeah, yes, I can understand how that is." Well, for the area itself, it's been quite quiet mostly. The world continues on much as it ever has done. Nature grows.
Oh, sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you?
Why is that question?
I liked
Oh,
that
it's
was a
not-
question.
Well, it sounded like something was hit or dropped, so I
Yeah.
couldn't tell if it was a sneeze or
I mean, that's
was
what
a
I
weird
thought as
in-between.
well.
Sorry.
No, it was just a weird in between noise. So I was like, I think that was a sneeze.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of the most tactful way to ask what she meant about something about not being out much in the past 2 years, but I'm not sure.
She said few years, not 2 years.
Sorry, few years, not 2. I'm trying to think of the most tactful way Kelariis would ask that, but I'm not sure what it is. I think it's somewhere in between actually tactful and just asking straight out right. Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
Look, words are hard, man.
Words are very hard.
For me, not as Kelariis too, but for me, words are hard. It's fine.
Words are hard.
Yeah, it's probably something so what happened in the past few years that you haven't I guess been out this way much?
She just sort of smiles at you and says, "Oh, that's fairly simple to answer. I had kids."
Oh.
That
Wow.
does tend to keep you at home.
Congratulations! It's a really delayed, but
Yeah. she smiles and laughs and says, "Yes, it's they can be rather time consuming. Old enough to look after themselves now, though, so got a little bit more time to myself."
wait. That's really young.
What do you mean?
That's to look after themselves if it's only been a few years? Or am I misunderstanding that?
You have about as much insight into that statement as Kelariis does.
That's fair. I think she probably has a kind of confused expression but doesn't actually say anything. Just kind of oh,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
I know, kids.
Kids. Well, I guess she's basing that off of her knowledge of her younger brother, who definitely was not able to look after himself when he was 3 or 4, which is what she considers to be a few years.
Yeah.
As opposed to several. So they're doing well. I hope.
Oh yes. Just getting to that age where they're looking to get in about as much trouble as they can, as long as I'm not keeping a close eye on them. But
I mean, I feel like that doesn't always go away for some. Oh, definitely not talking about myself.
No, of course not. Why would you talk about yourself with regards to that?
yeah, no, she sort of she sort of smiles wistfully and says, "Ah, well, yes. I expect they'll make something of themselves one day. It's usually the way of the world."
Oh, that's fair. I guess just like idle chit chat that like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
gonna fill in.
Yeah, so you guys idle chit chat for a little while. And yeah, I guess. Hold on, let me just read something. Yeah, I guess the topic turns to like hobbies, and she's just sort of like, so, what do you all do for fun in your free time when you're not out on the beach like this?
No, I mean, this really is more of our free time. We're adventurers.
Oh, adventurers. How curious. Tell me, what adventures are you on?
Oh boy, that's a story.
By the way, V's probably using shape water like a lot around her. She's just sort of like moving the water around her.
Okay.
Just, I don't know, just mentioning that.
Just look, I could do things.
Yeah, so...
Not like, look, I can do things. I think she's just enjoying herself.
V does what every child like at the water wishes they could actually do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Exactly.
Like-
bend it.
Or like make like a tiny wave and just splash it towards Grim.
Okay.
Aw.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, Grim. Shape water, take that,
Yeah,
Grim.
give me a perception check, V. Actually, no, because you know you've got 19 passive. So, yeah, you notice that like Hayasu is sort of like watching you do things like when you do stuff with the water.
Oh yeah. I don't think V would say anything about it, or like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, she's not like making anything of it. She's just watching you. It's more like a curiosity thing than anything.
Okay.
I guess we tell adventure tales minus like details.
The fate minus the fate of the world details.
Yeah, just like oh
Okay.
yeah, we've been here and here and done some shit and fought some things. Head
Tell
south.
things as if our entire adventure has not actually been completely linked together, and it's all just been go here, do a thing, go here, do a different thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Okay.
the giants and stuff. Like, you know, it's pretty set apart from everything.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
we
mean,
fought a bunch of giants.
tell about the whole boat adventures too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh, if you yeah, if you talk about boats, she definitely perks up when you start talking about boats, and she says, "Oh, I will confess that I've never actually been on a boat myself, but I do love watching them when they're out on the ocean. I always wonder to myself what stories they must have to tell, or what treasures they're hiding."
The boats?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if all of them have treasure. Most of the ones from my village from the village have
Fish.
Lots and lots of fish.
She laughs and says, "Well, I guess for a hungry man, a fish is a treasure as much as anything."
I can agree with that. I mean, if you'd like to talk to some of the sailors, there are the ones in my village.
Yeah, she sort of smiles and says, "That's a kind offer, but my curiosity lies with those that go far abroad. I'm more interested in those who have been to distant lands and traded for exotic things. I'm somewhat of a collector myself. Admittedly, mostly stories or things with a ceremonial value or a historical value. But yes, that's my my preferred pastime."
I like collecting things too. I like collecting things to put back home.
She sort of like smiles and sits up and says, "Oh really? So, what have you collected?"
Well, mostly just like pretty things. Like I got a bunch of shells from the shore earlier because there's not really like a place to buy anything. But I got like a nice wooden plaque at some point, and yeah, things like that. Things that are pretty that I can show to my family.
She sort of like as you're describing like the picking up the shells and stones and stuff. She sort of smiles and sort of like leans in closer and sort of says, "Can I see?"
Oh yeah, they're in Grim's bag.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. There we go.
Let me get some of them out. Like I'll just like hold the bag upside down and think about the shells and then hopefully
Okay.
take them out.
Yeah, they come out. She starts sort of like picking through them and admiring them.
But like afterwards, I just like hold it slightly to the side and think about the sand to make.
Okay, empty the sand out.
God, magic is so convenient.
Good old
Yeah.
magic.
Like I just like the idea of just first like holding it upside down, shells fall out, moving the bag upside down, and then suddenly sand falls out.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a natural 20 on those shells, so she better be impressed.
yeah. She is very impressed.
Yeah.
One stone in particular actually catches her attention, like a shiny little piece of like obsidian. And she sort of like she passes it over in her hand and says, "I tell you what, I'll trade you something for this."
Okay.
And she sort of she reaches into like a little pouch that she's got on the side of her swimming shorts, and she produces a basically a piece of vibrant pink coral, and offers it to you.
Oh, that's pretty. I will take that.
Okay. She takes the obsidian and puts it back in her pouch and says, "Well, a deal well done."
Hell yes. Thank you. This is very pretty.
You're welcome.
I guess we'll have to put everything back into the bag.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just start putting stuff back in. Maybe accidentally grab some extra shells.
You just like there's just a big pile amongst a bunch of other stones, so you're just like, I don't really know which is which. I'm just gonna put it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Ayasa doesn't really say anything else. Just sort of like after the trade, she sort of like there's a little bit more small talk, and then she just sort of like lies back on the sand and enjoys the sun with her eyes closed.
That's fair.
But yeah. Unless you guys want to do anything else in particular, you can just pass the rest of the day here.
No, there's nothing here.
mean,
Can't think of
might
it.
as well.
Kelariis is
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
good.
water very often. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah. Spend a lot of time swimming.
Vondal's mostly looking at clouds.
Okay.
And/or everybody else swimming.
Yeah, okay. So a couple of hours pass. There's some more like minor small talk with Hyasa. But yeah, eventually it's sort of like you're aware that you've spent like a lot of the day here, and you're starting to get like sort of like hot and thirsty, and your water skins are empty. So
Yeah, we should probably get going.
Possibly for the best. Food, I imagine, would also be nice at this point.
yes,
Yeah, sure is different from being on the boat this way.
Yeah.
Seems less dangerous somehow.
You mean how we're not just surrounded by it all? And it's a lot more shallow?
Well, I was more
And the lack of
thinking
sirens.
lack of sirens and similar entities.
I suppose you've got that as well.
And besides that, being on the boat was quite nice.
I think like at this point, like Hyasa just without like a word, just sort of like sits up like perfectly straight and is like, well, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of excitement every now and again.
Hang on a sec, guys.
Okay. Yeah, she sort of says, nothing wrong with a little bit of excitement every now and again.
I guess not.
That's what's up.
Yeah. It's just it is what it is. Although to be honest, I feel like this is the one time we don't have any excitement. Although I have no idea what's to come in the next 3 days. Trouble seems to find us somehow.
Maybe not always trouble, just interesting things.
Well, we always put effort in at least. But yeah.
I can certainly imagine that interesting things follow an interesting bunch. Like things do attract, after all.
Well, I'd drink to that, but I don't have any drinks with me, so.
She sort of chuckles to herself and says, "Oh, I haven't drunk in a long time."
It's a great way if you don't have, well, a whole day to spend.
Well,
We should go back to Kelariis, or like to Kelariis' house and ask if her mom needs any more help.
Yeah, it's probably time that we should be going back anyway.
she Hyasa smiles and says, "Ah, such a thoughtful child. I wish mine were anything like you."
Well, they're probably a little young to like, help out in the kitchen and stuff like that.
She chuckles and gives you a little wink and says, "You could say that."
This woman is so suspicious. Holy shit.
She's so weird. I'm so okay.
Also,
I'm
hello,
into
yes,
it.
I'm back.
Well,
Welcome
maybe
back.
in a few years.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done some things to maybe cause some trouble for my parents, but I try.
Well, as long as they were done for the right reasons.
I would say so.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, I guess in that case you guys sort of make to leave. She sort of like she stays where she is, just sort of like waves you off.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Have good adventures.
Have
No,
fun
you
collecting
too.
your stories.
I will.
Who the fuck is this?
I have like a really strong idea out of character, but Kelariis has no clue. So
Okay. Yeah. So you go back to town.
yeah.
And there we will take a brief break so I can get some water.
Yeah.
Yeah.